Hey everyone, Anne here, back with a reading today about where we are as a country, and I'm talking about the United States here, and where we are going. I did this reading yesterday in response to the verdict in the George Floyd murder case, where Derek Chauvin was convicted of third degree. I believe it was third degree murder, or it was, I don't know. It was murder. He was guilty on all three counts. And that's, in my mind, great. That's the right call. But I wanted to understand from Spirit where we are and where we are going, and to see if Spirit had any advice. I did a reading many, many months ago, probably back in November, might have been before the election or just slightly after the election. And I wanted to understand what the future had in store for our nation. I think it was after the election, because Biden had been elected, and I wanted to see how that presidency would unfold and what the long-term outcome was. And what was surprising to me in that reading is that the fascism card still showed as a potential outcome. And I get the feeling that Spirit has shown me this a couple times. It's not certain. It's not certain, but if we do not take this opportunity to move in the direction that we envision for the future, then that's what we're going to end up with. So I felt compelled to do a reading yesterday again to see where things stand now. You'll notice that I just laid all these cards out here. I didn't do it live because it takes me a long time to sort of process the images, and I like to sit with them, and I like to see what comes through after the fact. So it's not the greatest format for me being a YouTube reader, but here's what I have. So the top row, this is where we are now. We have the Queen of Swords, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Eight of Pentacles. And what I noticed as I pulled these cards, first of all, is that I'm using the Light Seers deck by Chris Ann, which in general has a lot of multicultural imagery. But all of the cards that I pulled, in fact, most of the cards that I pulled in this reading show white people, and that is not typical of my readings with this deck. So that stood out to me. This card of where we are now, this Queen of Swords, this is a moment of clarity. We are able to see things clearly that we have not been able to see before. And I like that she's looking at this Ten of Pentacles, which is the legacy card, and imagining that future. Like, we're getting clear on what it is that we want for ourselves. Again, this family, or whatever this is mostly white. That stands out to me. There is this darker skinned child in the background, and these white children holding hands. And that to me it is an indication of multiculturalism. It's not the strongest one, but it is showing harmony, and it's just a lovely feeling that's coming off of this card. It's an abundant, loving, inclusive future, right? Or equitable. I don't know. It feels very joyful. And I love that. And I love that the Queen of Swords is looking at that and getting some clarity. And then we have this card, the Eight of Pentacles, which is the card of work, right? Putting in the effort, mastering one's craft. And I think it's so cool. I love how this deck, the cards kind of talk to one another in this deck. And I love that she's holding that candle, that small little light, and she's looking at this Ten of Pentacles too, and thinking, how do I use the tools at my disposal to get there? So we're getting clear. We're getting a clear vision. We're thinking about the future that we want, and looking at that logically and thinking, well, how do we get there? And this card, the Material card, this is a card of action too. She's doing the same thing. Look at them both consider. They're mirroring each other, both considering this card in the middle, this Ten of Pentacles. We have all the tools. They're right there in front of us, but how do we put them to use towards this outcome? And that's kind of where we are now. And it's also a card of patience. I mean, look at the moons up there and the cycles. So it's going to take time, but this is a time for us to start doing the work. We have this opportunity. The second row that I did down here is the where we are going. I have the Eight of Swords, the Page of Pentacles, and the Six of Wands. So where we are going, to me, this whole row kind of came out as a warning. We cannot allow ourselves to think that we're powerless. You know, in this card, she's looking into a mirror and she's seeing that she's tied up and blindfolded. But that's not really the case. She's just that's all in her mind. The idea that we are powerless to affect any change is all in our mind. And if we allow ourselves to get stuck there, we're not going to end up in the place where we want. We're not going to end up with this beautiful future and joyful future. So where are we going? This, again, the Page of Pentacles, she's got that beautiful seed and that one root, and it's getting grounded. It's getting grounded. It's a start. This is an opportunity to plant a seed that grows into this future. But what that future looks like really depends on the work that we do. I pulled the Six of Wands. And initially, I mean, this is, if I pull this in another reading, I might think of it as a good sign, but it gave me a really bad feeling. I got to be honest about it. Typically what this card shows is like the conqueror, right? This is the card of conquest and winning. And in the traditional Rider-Waite, shows a king on a white horse. I've had dreams. I think I mentioned this in my previous video. I had a dream recently about a white horse. I did look it up. The white horse is typically associated with war. It's also associated with death, the Antichrist, but also Christ. I don't know if you're Christian. It has a lot of associations, but in this context, combined with the torch here and the fact that she's a white lady and she's raising her arms in victory and there's all these white hands behind her on the stage, this gave me a feeling of white power and white supremacy. So where we are headed, if we allow ourselves to feel powerless and we don't nurture this seed of the future that we want, is a future where white supremacy prevails. So I took this row of cards as a warning. We have an incredible opportunity here. This is hopeful. This is beautiful. We have clarity. We have all the tools that we need to do the work to get here, but we cannot allow ourselves to just sit there and feel like we don't know what to do. We have to take logical, deliberate action. And systematic action. You know, it's a process. It's a process. It's a series of steps. I want to look at this card closer because I don't know if you can see it. So you kind of see these shapes developing and being revealed throughout the process. I'm not sure what to make of that star there. I have to think about that. It's curious to me because the shapes within all of the rest of these are the same. It's only the part that's lit that changes, except for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth pentacle. If anyone ever finds this video and has a thought about that, please let me know, because right now it's sort of a mystery to me. Anyway, so then the next thing I did is I asked for advice. I said, well, okay, thank you, first of all, for helping us see what opportunities we have here and the warning about avoiding a future where white supremacy reigns. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do? What is your advice? So the Three of Swords came out as advice. And again, what struck me about this card is like, how white is this reading? This reading is so white. But also here we have a heart that is slashed, that is mended together, that is being pulled apart. It's trying to trying to hold it together as it's being pulled apart. And there's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain, and what's tied to that pain is this white woman with, I can't even tell if it's a woman, so I shouldn't say, but a white person with these swords on their arm. And I think it's about recognizing, if you're white, recognizing your connection to the pain and feeling that pain. This is a card of empathy, recognizing how we are connected to the pain of our Black, Indigenous, people of color in this country, and allowing us to sit with that. We can't ignore it. We have to recognize it and feel it. Oh, and this is so dark. Spirit just told me this is a hanging tree. This is a hanging tree. It's about reconciling with our past. If you're white, about understanding the pain that's been caused and the generational trauma that's caused, and not ignoring it, understanding our role, our connection, and really, really doing that work to understand that pain. And yeah, I don't know. I'm struck because I attended a training for work this past week with Dr. Rosemary Allen, and she was so vulnerable in sharing her experiences as a Black woman, and how even as a Black woman, she was not immune from going up that ladder of inference, about, she described driving through a neighborhood and seeing a unfamiliar neighborhood where she didn't quite feel safe anyway, and seeing a Black man on a porch, and her experience of that, and the internalized racism that she felt even as a Black woman against this man. And that led to a whole series of just people of color within within this network that I work with, sharing their experiences. And as a white person, I don't hear that very often. I don't see that. And it was so powerful and heartbreaking to hear those stories, and to understand that that I am a part of that pain. I am a part of what is causing that pain. So that was very, very illuminating. And again, I feel myself, like, personally, I'm kind of in this energy. I'm here, I'm seeing it, I'm here, I'm feeling it, although this is a card of the swords is thinking still. And knowing that it is my job as the one who holds, as a white person in America holding that power, it's my job and my responsibility in many ways to be this agent of change, but feeling like I don't know where to start. And Spirit saying, just start. Just think about it, get deliberate, and just start. And then the last card that I got was this Four of Wands in reverse. This is a card of celebration. This is a card also that stood out to me because here it is, in this entire reading of mostly white people, I finally pulled a card that has people of color celebrating. Right? That is the one card that I pulled, and it was in reverse. which to me, oh, this is spirit saying it's not time to, we can't celebrate yet. We cannot celebrate yet. Do not go. The verdict was great, but that's not going to change anything. Don't lose focus. Don't lose focus. Keep the pressure on. The systems that we've created need to change. We need to acknowledge and take responsibility for the pain and understand our connection. This is really a card of understanding, right? Understanding and processing that pain. So there's work to be done. And that's that's what I got for where are things now? Where are they going? So in terms of it, I don't have any advice for us other than this, other than start somewhere. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. And wherever you can, do the work, even in the smallest of ways, to get to this future. Doesn't have to be big. It just has to be aligned. And that is the message. So if you found this video, thank you so much for bearing with me and my tangents. I appreciate it, and I hope you come back. Take care.